You were listening to CMQ Investing. My name is Chris Franco, and this is a impassioned rant about Facebook and the Metaverse, and why personally I think that investors who are piling into Meta right now because they think it's cheap, well, I think they need to think about this. What is it going to take for the Metaverse to really take off? Meaning, to have comparable success as Facebook's core ad business. What has to happen? There has to be widespread adoption of some sort of a headset, likely an expensive one, that will be made by Facebook or Meta platforms rather. And that headset will be your gateway into the Metaverse. Then you need the utility of the Metaverse. Will there be reasons to go there because you can't do something in present life, in your real life, that you can only do in the Metaverse? That has to be the case at some point. And lastly, I would say there needs to be maybe a more defined problem, a problem that has a certain mass appeal that the Metaverse uniquely solves. The way that I see it right now, those three scenarios, well, they're not really in Facebook's favor. In my 35 years, I've seen my fair share of new technology come along. And as a world-class marketer, a marketer of many things that are tech, I have a good hunch, a good nose for knowing what the market is going to respond to. I don't think that my group of friends or my family represents the entire market. However, I've never seen such a unanimous no as I'm seeing with the Metaverse. There's just no interest. The only interest is, what are they saying about it now? That's really the extent of it. I challenge anyone out there who, is honest. Try to find some people that are really excited about going to the Metaverse as it's been detailed and described and illustrated by Facebook. I don't know anyone who's looking forward to that. Does that mean it will never work? Not necessarily, but it's not a good start. Behavior change is already hard. I worked with a company very early on, and we were on the very cutting edge of mobile commerce. If you've ever bought something on your phone, whether it was on Amazon or elsewhere, there was a time when that was unheard of. There was a time when people wouldn't dare put their credit card information into their phone. It was as if it was going directly into the database of some sort of a scammer or hacker. Over time, that perception of security changed. Now, when it comes to going to the Metaverse, mobile commerce made things better. It didn't cure people with cancer, but there are things that you can do a lot faster and things that are more convenient because you can just do it on your phone. There's no equivalent that I know of when it comes to the Metaverse. There's nothing that's going on in the Metaverse, or even the hypothetical proposed version of the Metaverse, that I need to be taking part in. The examples that Facebook put forth, while I appreciate the creativity, the ingenuity, there's no doubt it's innovative, but I don't want to play poker with some guy who's dressed up like Darth Vader. I don't want to look at street art that I can see walking down the street in New York City. I don't want to look at it in a virtual world and then have to pay money to the creator who spray painted it on the wall in order to keep looking at it. And that is exactly a use case that is provided in Facebook's marketing materials. These are the kinds of things that I have no interest in doing. I have no interest in taking a meeting with a colleague or anyone for that matter in a fake conference room that has a view of something that I could go see in real life. There's nothing cool about that. I wish I could put my finger on it because I tend to be optimistic about things' chances of working out. There's nothing that gives me indication that the Metaverse is going to be a big hit for Facebook. It might be a big hit for someone else, but Facebook, and I think generally speaking, people have forgotten how little they trust Facebook. Yeah, you trust Facebook. Let me be clear. You trust Facebook more than a hitchhiker with their thumb out on I-75 asking for a ride. But do you really trust Facebook to document and really almost clone you as a human being, your facial expressions, your eye movement, how you respond on a very micro level to certain stimulus? Is that something you want out there in anyone's hands, let alone Facebook's? Now, I'm not afraid of ads being targeted to me and being more personalized. I think that's actually, in many cases, it's an improvement versus having ads that are not personalized. But instead of taking my, internet behavior, what I do on certain websites, you're taking a part of me. And something's already a little bit off about that. And Facebook's just not the company that I want to do that. I like Mark Zuckerberg. I admire and respect what he's done as an entrepreneur. right? A lot of people my age don't appreciate this, but he is our generations, the millennial generations. He's one of our guys, right? Elon Musk is not a millennial. Mark Zuckerberg is. And for that reason, he's ours. But what Mark Zuckerberg built, and along with a lot of other people, but again, he was leading it, he deserves respect. You have to give him a chance. He's like a fighter that still has that knockout power. He might not be in his prime anymore, but he could still, get lucky and catch somebody with a punch and it's over. He still has knockout power. I just don't think the metaverse, by all the signals that are out here, there's no indication that this is anywhere near a knockout. There's no indication that people are even excited to do it, to even try it. There were reports that came out recently that Facebook's having difficulty getting their own employees to actually explore the metaverse that they're helping build. That's a bad sign. But it's not the first time this has happened with a new tech product. Lots of products in tech are built not problem first. They're not built to solve a user's problem. They might think they're doing that, but really they're being driven by these other incentives, right? We've talked about the very first episode of my podcast, CMQ. We talked about incentive cause bias. How you can be blind to your own BS. It's very normal. I'm not faulting anyone for having that bias working against them. The challenge for us is to recognize that it's working against them and not falling for their own, promotional tactics. Mark Zuckerberg, I believe, to build trust, and it's a smart tactic, and I'm glad he's doing it. He's been doing a lot more unscripted podcasts. He's been doing the podcast rounds. He did Joe Rogan. He did the podcast that The Verge has. He did Lex Friedman. These are places where he gets pushback, where he is answering questions seemingly off the cuff in a much more natural way than you saw Mark Zuckerberg answer questions when he was maybe called to testify in front of Congress. I believe it's in part getting the message out, but it's also building a lot of trust that was eroded because of things like Cambridge Analytica. I could go down the list of issues that Facebook had because they chose to grow at all costs, sometimes at the expense of user privacy and just user comfort. And that's a choice they made. But to now have to sell a headset, an expensive one, something that I'm going to use to behave in a way that I currently don't behave. I'm going to put on something and go into your world and let you know what I'm doing and track me and mold something, to my likeness, basically. That's a big ask. And I don't think Facebook has the persuasive power to get me to do that, because Facebook, well, they don't have a lot of goodwill among the consumers. Yes, we use their products because they make good free products where you can achieve things that you wouldn't be able to achieve without them. Charlie Munger Quotes, that Instagram page, that page came as a result of, if it wasn't for Meta platforms, you might not know about this podcast as a result of that page. The ability to reach hundreds of thousands of people. I give credit where credit's due. But what is the metaverse offering me as a consumer that, one, I need, and two, it's going to actually be a value add for me? I have yet to see anyone really make the case that's compelling. Because if they did make the compelling case, well, there'd be demand for this thing. That's how it works. There's no demand for the metaverse. There might be internal polling. There might be, you hire some fancy company, they do a bunch of surveying, and they tell you that, we find that with actually the 18 to 24 cohort, especially Midwestern males, believe it or not, single males with single mothers, actually, they love the metaverse. You can find an audience, but in terms of what needs to happen for Facebook to right their wrongs, to get back in a position of real power when it comes down to like their market capitalization and just their stature in the stock market, you need mass adoption here. You need everyone, or at least I'd say 50 to 70% of people have one of these headsets that I can only imagine are going to require upgrading every 2 years, maybe. They're going to be expensive. And again, it's not a necessity. I just don't understand how this ends well. And while I applaud the boldness, I applaud the just rebuttal of complacency. Nothing points to a success here. There's no signs of success in the short term or the long term. So as Facebook, had to justify why did we spend so much money on the metaverse and yet we have nothing really to show for it, that question becomes even louder. Why did we spend all this money? What are we trying to get? And Facebook could be preparing, because there's going to be a lot of competition for people to have their own metaverse, right? You go to Facebook, does Microsoft have one? There's a lot of different options here. But Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook have made a strategic choice to try to be the metaverse, the new operating system for this I call it the next evolution or phase of what comes next after mobile internet, or just mobile period. But again, remember what we have to do in order to realize the vision and then, make the strategy profitable. There's a lot that's being asked of us, and I don't know anyone who's willing to even take the first step. So how do you get the masses to do it? How do you make this cool? I think it's a big problem, especially when a company like Facebook or Meta lacks the trust factor. And I say when people trust enough, but they don't have persuasive power. Mark Zuckerberg, he can't convince you to do something the same way that maybe Elon Musk could. And that might not be the best example for everybody. But Mark Zuckerberg can't motivate you to use the metaverse. He's been ineffective in doing that. And because this product and this vision is so, in some ways, esoteric, it's not even something where the best TV kind of pitch people like Jim Cramer, he couldn't even sell it. Because what are you selling? It's not something that's appealing. Let's just be honest here, guys. It's not appealing. Is future technology appealing? Absolutely. Is innovation appealing? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we are the customers, we're the consumers, and if it doesn't offer us value, then good luck getting value from us. And that's what Facebook needs if they want to realize this vision and realize it financially.